issue is Sir Arthur. And, I want the public to know my position. My position is we're spending $15 million a year on Sir Arthur. And it clearly is inadequate. And it's supposed to be running as a private entity. And what we've been trying to encourage Sir Arthur to do, one is to focus on maybe a couple of curriculums instead of trying to be everything to everybody, and maybe look for a partner. So whether you're going to associate yourself to a different program. But the only option that they're looking at now to solve their problem is to raise the price of tuition, which a lot of people are not going to be happy to hear.
What is the purpose of being if we do not invest in the next generation? Because those who went before us made tremendous sacrifices so that we could be here.
Prime Minister Alan Chastanet affirms that the government of St. Lucia is not capable of providing more than the $15 million allocated to the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. The nation's leader further claimed that the college, which was established under an Act of Parliament in 1985, should ideally be self-sufficient. This comes mere weeks after central government apparently rejected a bid from the college to increase tuition fees for the 2018-2019 academic year.
Government is not in a position to give more than $15 million. And I would say to you that it's very generous on the part of the government of St. Lucia to continue to make that level of allocation when by now they should be self-sufficient. But the situation is so bad up there, they're not even paying rent. So you have other institutions in St. Lucia that are paying rent. They're not paying rent. They're not even earning enough monies to be able to maintain the existing buildings they have. But it's because of the process. And so this is what we're now trying to work with Sir Arthur Lewis College, to make sure that Sir Arthur is providing a very clear transition from graduating from secondary school and making it into the workforce, and providing as many services as we can in order to make our population more competitive than it's ever been before.
Additionally, the Prime Minister indicated that there is a general misconception about the real cost of courses at the institution and raised questions about the previously proposed fee increase.
Most people believe that the tuition at Sir Arthur Lewis is $1,500, right? It's not. It's $9,000. $9,000, of which government pays $7,500 and the student pays $1,500. So my argument was, okay, you're going to ask for an increase in tuitions. What is it that kids are getting? Are they getting a better education? Is there better programming? And why did we find ourselves waiting almost a month again before school begins to implement the fee? So I'm not throwing the board directors under the bus at all. It's the difficult situation. Multiple boards have also faced that conflict.
Chastanet further opined that the government's subsidization of courses at the college is unfair to other students who wish to pursue education at other tertiary institutions which do not benefit from similar government subsidization. However, the Prime Minister failed to make a distinction between the college, which was legislated into existence by the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College Act of 1985, and private institutions which may be currently operating on the island.
So it means that the government of St. Lucia is only subsidizing students that go to post-secondary school education who go to Sir Arthur. So only kids who apply for scholarships get scholarships to go to Monroe. So let me ask you a question. What happens if the government changes its policy and says, you know what, anybody who wants to do a post-secondary school education, I'm willing to give them a scholarship of $3,000. And so 5,000 kids on the same $15 million allocation would be able to be resolved.
Industry's South Parliamentary Representative, Dr. Ernest Hilaire, is harsh in his criticism of the government's proposed changes to education. He says the plans are elitist and will seriously disadvantage St. Lucians hoping to gain the benefit of tertiary education.
It's because of a belief that education is a fundamental right that must be provided to the children and youth of this country. The Prime Minister is throwing that on its head. He's saying, in his view, when government policy changes and anybody to do post-secondary education will get a scholarship of $3,000 a year and Balfinipu.
The fact is, right now, we're spending 18% of our budget, and in some cases even more, on education.
There's certain programs you cannot borrow money to build. So everybody was complaining about the pace in which Sir John was building new schools. So for instance, let's take the St. Jude's Hospital. The government now has turned around and is borrowing $20 million from the Taiwanese.
You had to get the schools, two secondary schools. Now they're 18 or 20. If you're planning for a year, they say plant rice. We would say plant bananas. If you're planning for 10 years, you plant trees. But if you're planning for a generation, you educate your people.
Very glad that the children from Sir Arthur Lewis are here, because clearly this is exactly what we've been asking Sir Arthur Lewis board to be able to do for the last 2 years. When we look at the finances of Sir Arthur Lewis and the inability for Sir Arthur Lewis to actually maintain the buildings that they have. So for years we've been going on the premise as to who's supposed to fund it. And my remarks about Sir Arthur, about the $15 million, is we must frame it differently so we think of it differently. The question becomes, if in fact the tuition is $1,500, then your expectation is substantially less. But if in fact the tuition is $9,000, the question becomes, are we delivering $9,000 of worth of programming to the kids? We must have a value for how important every single dollar that we have is. And so I end where I started.
Governments do not subsidize our youth to give them education. Government invests in our youth when they give them education. I cannot accept anybody saying to young people, this is a favor we're giving you, we're subsidizing your education for you.
You don't have to provide too much education for the job. What you need is skills. Is skills.